Hi, Chili Peppers. Here I am talking to you about part two of your instructions for the week. So, last week we were working on a personal narrative, right? Which is a form of narrative writing, right? There are two other styles of nonfiction communication, right? And those are expository and persuasive. Expository is what we're going to focus on this week, and that is when you're writing just the facts, right? The news, hopefully, an instructions manual on how to build a chair, right? That would be just facts. A research paper where you're explaining the causes of the Civil War, okay? That would be facts that you research and report on without any opinion, okay? So, what you'll do is you will read and take notes as you need to on this little slideshow. This is a place where I suggested you have a notebook for English in which you can jot down information that will be useful to you. Okay. This is a copy of a document you'll be familiar with. It's the internal text structure chart. That's just for extra reference. This slideshow, I do want you to go through and read and take some notes on. Some of it will be very familiar to you already. Just go through it and take notes as you feel you need to. We'll talk about fact and opinion more next week. Slides 6, 7, 8, and 9, I believe, are the ones I said. Those are the important ones for the work this week. So here are your organizational patterns again, right? Cause, effect, concept, definition, all of those things. These are things that we use whenever we're writing or whenever we're communicating, but particularly when you're writing expository materials, because you want to keep them really organized, right? If you're describing the causes of the Civil War, you might do compare contrast, right? Here's the reasons the North went to war as opposed to the reasons the South, that kind of thing, right? Concept definition, here is a definition of a particular type of rifle, all right? So these would be the organizational patterns, also called internal text structures. External text structures are those visual cues, right, that we use to get people's attention, okay? And those are all listed here. Then you have the three types of nonfiction communication with a little bit of information about each. Narrative, telling the story, right? Personal narratives, autobiographies. Expository writing, like I said, reporting on the facts. There's some examples of some of those underneath that bullet. And then persuasive writing is when you're trying to convince someone of your opinion. That's where it's completely biased, and that's good because you're trying to show the reasons why you feel a certain way, right? So there's some examples there: advertisements, debates, editorials. An editorial is an opinion piece that you might read in a newspaper or magazine, or someone might speak on the news, where they are telling you what they feel is the best approach to this or that, as opposed to just reporting the facts. COVID-19 is this, this, and this. That's expository. The governor should cancel this thing for this long because that's the best path. That would be persuasive, right? Okay. Author's purpose is any one of those three things, right? To entertain, inform, or persuade. And when we're reading, it's good for us or we're not just reading, but receiving information, it's good for us to always be aware of that. And figure out which it is, right? Are we being persuaded of something? Is there bias in there, or is it straight fact, or is it someone telling us a particular story of a life? Okay? You can continue to finish reading that PowerPoint, and then you can move on to the next item, all right? So what you'll see is that you have two assignments, all right? The first one is read an article, this Unhealthy Kids Menus article. You complete a form about it, and you fill out a chart, okay? Now, I want to tell you two things. One, in order to read this article, you're going to have to rotate it in your screen, okay? Or print it out. To rotate it, you open it up, you open up a new window of it, and then you download it. This little button is download, and it will make a copy for you in a little PDF file on the bottom left. You open it up, And now you have a little circle and you can rotate it. I don't know why it makes you go through all those steps for it, but that's just the way it is, okay? Now, the chart, let me show you that briefly, because as you can see, I forgot to post it at first, but now it's here. So this is an important document that you'll want to keep and we'll be filling out in stages. All right. So as you can see, this is about nonfiction communication. It's to the purpose of which is to entertain, inform, or persuade. You have narrative in this column, expository here, and persuasive here. So you're just going to fill out the yellow columns for this time, okay, for this activity. So just give some examples of narrative communication here and some of expository here, all right, just like we saw in the slideshow. Point of view, this is the different points of views we use for these types of nonfiction communication, right? Narrative is almost always first person, an autobiography of my life, right? A personal narrative like James Thurber. Biographies are the exception, right? Those use third person because you're telling the story of someone else's life, all right? Expository writing is usually third person except for instructions, right? Where you would use second person point of view, or you, right? When you bake a cake, first you put in the flour, then you crack in the egg, etc., etc. All right, so just type in some examples of each of these styles of nonfiction writing or communication. It doesn't have to be written. It could be, for instance, for expository, a documentary is expository. It's giving you the facts about a particular event or cultural event, that kind of thing. Ken Burns is a famous documentarian, and he wrote one on, filmed one on baseball and one on the blues, country music, all kinds of things. Down here, you've got tools used to create these different nonfiction communication types, right, or styles. You've got narrative tools. So that would be anything you use to tell a story. You would use in personal narratives or in biographies, right? You would have dialogue. You'd have all those plot elements of setting, character, that kind of thing. You'd have the plot events, rising action, climax, etc., right? So just write them down in these boxes. Expository, you're pretty much going to focus on those internal and external text structures, so you want to name them, right? Compare, contrast, chronological, external, bullets, call-outs, that kind of thing. Just give some examples of those, all right? And that's all for that. That's the chart, okay? All right, and then the second part is assignment 2 is to write, you explain your own interesting fact, okay? And you can do that as a video, or you can do that as a written piece, all right? So it's going to be short, as you see here, 150 words max, or a 3-minute video. It has to be expository, so just the facts. Maybe you explain how to play Minecraft. I don't know. And just make sure that you use 2 authoritative sources. And I gave you in this document, I explained in more detail some examples of authoritative sources. The library, LBSS library, has some great databases that you can use. I do not want this to be long. As you can see, students have already submitted, and they are kind of short paragraphs. They're very good. This is Companions on the Battlefield, okay? So this is about how animals help on the battlefield. You have another one. This one was about why social distancing is advised, okay? So it could be about something current. Nice and short. I hope some of you do videos, but if you don't, no problem. And that you will post your interesting fact in a document to Classroom or a link to the video. All right, that's all. So this is a little bit of a long video, hopefully not too long, and hopefully it explained things a little bit. So if you have any questions, jkmiller@fcps.edu, and I thought I would show you, here's Cinders, he's my cat, he's gonna say goodbye. Bye! See you later.